Hello fam, welcome to Irish Agility, a platform where we strive to simplify Agile, a platform where we strive to break down Agile related concepts to the granular level. So today I want us to look at a very important topic, a very crucial topic. As I prepare towards my upcoming PI planning, right? I just thought it wise to come here and just throw a little bit light on what a Scrum Master does during PI planning. As we all know, PI planning is a 2 to 3 days event that brings together the entire agile release train to align to a common set of what goals and objective. If you're not familiar with the concept of agile release train, this is a team of teams, right? A team of teams that is born dead by a common what? A common mission. So at the end of the day, during these 2 to 3 days, the entire train comes together to brainstorm. They come together to collaborate. They come together to do what? To plan, to discuss, to align on a common set of goals and objectives to be achieved within the next 8 to 12 weeks. Right? Within the next what? 8 to 12 weeks. As we all know, the release train engineer, who is the servant leader of the art, is the person who coordinates to make sure that the event is successful, alongside the Scrum Masters who play a crucial role to support their team to ensure that they are taking away what any impediments, to ensure that their team is working as one to come up with a plan that business can accept, a plan that business can endorse, right? So guys, if you're new to this channel, I encourage you to subscribe, turn the notification bell on for subsequent notifications for subsequent content. Let's get into it straight away. So usually during these 2 to 3 days, right? When I say 2 days, most organizations will actually run PI planning for 2 days, right? But when new era where most teams are working remotely, right? Some organizations tend to run their PI plannings in 3 days. So irrespective of whether it's 2 or 3 days, right? The agenda remains the same. The format remains the same. The objectives remain the same. The goal remains the same. The goal is what? For the train to align to a common set of goals and objectives. Day one usually starts with what we call a PI planning kickoff. In the kickoff, we have senior leadership, right? They will run us through the business context, right? It's very important for Scrum Masters, especially entry-level Scrum Masters who are still new in our organization, to pay close attention to this part of the presentation. Why? Gives you the current context of what the business looks like, right? The challenges, the direction, the roadmap, all those beautiful things, right? And then after the presentation of the business context, the product management will run us through the vision and the 10 top features, right? What do I mean by the top 10 features? These are the features that has been prioritized for the PI planning. These are the features that the different teams will be breaking down during their breakout sessions, right? So the product management team will take some time to run us through these features, right? To tell us what as a business we look forward to achieve in these features, what we look forward to achieve as far as these features are concerned, right? Then after that, the architecture team will run us through the architecture runaway. What is going to be the tooling practices, right? What's going to be the engineering practices? The architecture team will take some time to run us through the architecture runaway. After which, the release train engineer will run us through the planning context, right? Summarily, he or she will guide us on how the planning is going to evolve, right? Then after that, the different Scrum teams will now separate, right, and go to their different respective breakout rooms where the magic occurs, guys. If you have not watched my video on pre-PI planning preparation, I encourage you to do so. That will help you as a Scrum Master prepare for your PI planning. Now we are talking about the 2 days, the 3 days itself. What happens, guys, when you go to your breakout rooms, right? Number one, you want to pay attention as a scrum master that you're working with your team to ensure that they are working towards coming out with a draft plan, right? On day one, the output is your draft plan. On day two, the goal is for the team to come out with a final plan. So for your team to be able to come out with a draft plan on day one, which is usually the first 2 to 3 sprints or the first 2 to 3 iterations, you want to ensure that at least the first 1, 2, or 3 iterations are planned on a higher level, guys. What do we mean by higher level? If you spend so much time trying to break down everything to the pieces, everything to the granular level, then you might not be able to come up with a plan that business can accept. So the focus is to come up with what? A higher level plan. Why? Because during implementations, guys, you have that forum, you have the opportunity as a team to actually refine, during backlog refinements to further refine your plans. So the goal of PI planning is to come up with a high level plan, but make sure you're taking into consideration, right, the key aspects that might prevent you, that might come in the way of you delivering your plan, right? So during the breakout sessions, you want to make sure as a scrum master, you're helping your team collaborate. You want to drive that cross collaboration because it's very, very important. Number two, you want to make sure that during your breakout sessions, you're keeping the discussions to what? To a time box, right? Because there's a clear agenda guiding your discussions. There's a clear agenda guiding the entire planning. So you want to make sure you're keeping the discussions to what? The time box, right? Another important thing you'll be doing as a scrum master is to work with the team to identify and communicate your dependencies, right? What are your dependencies, right? Dependencies are simply the order in which work needs to be done. For some reason, your team might be assigned to a feature that has some dependencies on a team or maybe multiple teams. So during your breakout session, guys, as a scrum master, you want to help your team identify and communicate those dependencies to the different parties or the different bodies, the different teams that will be in charge to help you deliver that dependency. Why? Because maybe without commitment to those dependencies, guys, you might end up blocking a particular release, right? Without a commitment to those dependencies, maybe you can't even proceed with your planning. So commitment is very important, right? Commitment is very, very important, right? Another thing you'll be helping your team do is to identify the different risks, right? Anything that might come in the way and anything that might prevent, that might cause your plan to go wrong. It's very, very important to identify your risks, right? When you identify your risks, there will come a time when the program will go and roam all those risks. But make sure that you're working with your team to identify your risks. You're also helping the team to remove any impediments, right, that might occur during planning, guys. So Scrum Master, think about it. You have a very instrumental role to play during PI planning. While your team breakout rooms planning sessions will be ongoing, guys, you will have a time where you will leave and join your Scrum of Scrum. The Scrum of Scrum says this call will bring together all the different Scrum Masters of the respective teams in front of the ROT, guys. This is a very crucial call where this is where the alignment takes place, guys. You will come together to share how your team is progressing towards your plan, guys. You'll be answering very important questions like how is your team progressing with your plans? Have you started communicating your dependencies? Have you started identifying your risks? Are you sure you'll be able to come up with a draft plan? Those are some of the questions that you'll be answering during the Scrum of Scrum on the first day. So make sure that as your team is planning, guys, you want to make sure that you keep in mind the timing you'll be attending your Scrum of Scrum. And before then, if you have any radiator sheet to actually prepare before that Scrum of Scrum, you want to make sure you stay on top of that. It's very, very important, guys. Also, during the Scrum of Scrum, that's a very good scenario, a very good forum for you to actually communicate what your dependencies with other Scrum Masters will be present. So you want to take advantage of it. Then after the Scrum of Scrum, you get back to your breakout rooms where you continue with your team to do what? To make sure that you guys are working towards that draft plan. It's very crucial that you have a draft plan to present on day one. right? It's very, very important, guys. Then after your breakout session room one, you guys will be going straight into another call where you have the opportunity, maybe 5 minutes for each team to actually present your draft plan. So every team will be given about 5 minutes to present their draft plan. Guys, in most of the time, from what I've realized, guys, the product owner of their respective teams will actually present these plans. But think about it. Absence of a product owner, you, the Scrum Master, can go ahead and present that plan. So that's why you have to make sure that you work very closely with your team to make sure that you guys are planning together, to know exactly what your team will planning, to understand, the vision that guides your features is very, very important. After the draft plan presentation, guys, the business, the stakeholders present, they're gonna ask you, your team, some questions if there is a need for questions, guys. Things that we present in your draft plan includes your team's capacity, your team's load, if you have identified any dependencies, if you have identified any risks. Those are some of the information that you'll be presenting during your draft plan. Then after that, there's gonna be a problem solving and management workshop. During the problem solving and management workshop, leadership is coming together to brainstorm based on day one, what are some of the impediments, what are some of the challenges, right? What are some of the issues that have arisen that needs to be resolved? These are the discussions that will take place during this leadership discussion, during this leadership event. On most occasions, in my past experiences, most of the times, Scrum Masters are not invited to this problem solving and management workshop. So this will conclude day one of what? Your PI planning. Then on day two of your PI planning, right, it's going to begin with what? Adjustments based on the previous day's management problem and solving workshop, right? There are going to be some adjustments, right? Then after that, you guys will continue refining on that plan, right? What do I mean by refining? The goal for your team is to make sure that you're helping your team work towards a final plan. On day two, you want to make sure that you are helping your team come up with a final plan, a plan that business can endorse, a plan that your team can take what? Complete ownership of it, right? Is very, very important. So, what are some of the things that you'll be helping your team with on day two of PI planning? They are not different, guys. You'll still be helping your team. If there are any more risks that your team can identify, is very crucial. You want to make sure that you're working with your team to identify some of these risks. If there are any impediments that is coming on the way, you want to make sure that you're working with your team to identify these impediments. Bringing in some external subject matter experts. You want to make sure that you're helping your team bring in those SMEs so they can answer any questions that your team might have, right? You want to make sure that you're continuously following up with your dependent teams to make sure that they are doing what they are committing to your dependencies. Is very, very important, right? And another factor is to keep in mind the time. You want to make sure that you are actually facilitating those discussions to keep them more to time box, right? Then during that planning, you also have the opportunity on day two to attend the Scrum of Scrum. The Scrum of Scrum on day two is not different from the Scrum of Scrum of day one, guys. The goal remains the same, to actually sync up on the planning. How are the different teams planning? How is your team progressing towards your plan? Are you guys confident that you'll be able to deliver your final plan? Are you guys confident that you're able to come out with a final plan? Are you guys identifying any firewalls? That discussion will continue, guys. It will continue. So if you bear with me, the role of a Scrum Master during PI planning is what? Very, very instrumental, guys. Then after the Scrum of Scrum, you come back and continue working with your team to make sure, guys, you guys are cutting the T's, you're dotting the I's, right, to move towards that final plan, right? Then after the breakout session, guys, there's gonna be a dependency call or a dependency meeting, right? This is opportunity where you can invite other teams that have not yet committed to your dependencies. So that right there in the presence of a senior leadership, in the presence of business, in the stakeholders, in the presence of the ROTE, guys, you can cause that commitment to happen. So you want to make sure that whatever teams you are dependent on, right? or whatever team that you have dependent on, make sure you're inviting them to this dependency call. Is very, very important. Then after the dependency call, you guys will be going straight to your final plan presentations. During your final plan presentations, each team will have at least 5 to 7 minutes to do what? To present on their final plans, guys. You'll be presenting on what? The features you've been assigned to, your objectives, guys. You're presenting on your objective, the business value attached to those objectives. And bear with me, on day two, guys, during your planning, actually, business owners will circulate into the different respective teams to assign business values to your team's PI objectives. Is very, very important, guys. So during the final plan presentation, you'll be presenting on your team's what? Your team's capacity and load. You'll be presenting on your business objectives. You'll be presenting on what else? You'll be presenting on your risks if there are any. You'll be presenting on your dependencies if there are any. You also be giving statuses of those dependencies. After which, if there are any questions from the business stakeholders or anybody present during the presentation session, then they're going to throw those questions to your team, and you guys will be given the opportunity to answer those questions. So you want to ensure that you guys are actually dedicating quality time towards what? Towards your planning, guys. After the final plan presentation, guys, there's gonna be what? A PI confidence vote, guys. So as a scrum master, depending on where you find yourself, depending on what organization you find yourself, in some environments, sometimes the entire art will come together to conduct, right, a common PI confidence vote. But in certain situations, the respective teams will conduct their individual confidence vote, where you now come together and present it to in a common room, right? So you want to make sure that you're working with your team to actually conduct your PI confidence vote. You want to work with your developers on a fist of 1 to 5. How confident are we to deliver on this plan, guys? Anything from 3 and above is very good, but anything from 2 and below, it opens more room for discussions, right? Something might arise that might necessitate more rework, for your team. So you want to make sure that you conduct your confidence vote, guys. And then after the vote of confidence, guys, there's going to be a PI planning retrospective. What went well during this PI planning? What went wrong during this PI planning? How can we improve on the subsequent PI planning, guys? So in a nutshell, that's what happens during the 2 to 3 days PI planning. So as a quick recap, guys, as a scrum master, your role is very instrumental during PI planning. Your goal is to help your team make sure that they are coming up with a plan that they can deliver. You want to make sure that you're coming up with a plan that business can endorse. You want to make sure you're coming up with a plan that you can deliver, guys. So there is no magic, guys. I always encourage my fellow scrum masters, right? Preparation is the key. You want to make sure you prepare. You want to make sure that you're fully aware on what features your team will be working on. You want to make sure that you're setting your team for success, guys. Also, you want to bear in mind that during those 2 days, you'll be representing your team in a different scrum of scrum to actually update on how your team is progressing towards their plan. Guys, if you found this content useful, I encourage you to like this content. Suggest other possible topics you'd like me to give presentations on, and I will gladly do so. And most importantly, if you're looking for a SAFe certification, a SAFe Scrum Master certification, guys, there is no other better place to look than to come to us. We'll help you get that certification. I will help you make sure that you master the fundamentals of the SAFe framework. Peace.